Good, good evening, everybody. Uh, if I haven't seen you already, Happy New Year. Tonight, I am going to be live. We're going to be talking about LinkedIn profile mistakes. If you're trying to sell what you do, make it easy for people to buy, nobody wants to be sold to. Nobody wants to be pitched, right? So how do we make it really easy for people to buy from us? I'm going to show you tonight. I'm going to share my screen. I'm not going to be on for ages tonight because it's late, but I want to show you some of the things and the mistakes people make with their profile so that you don't make them. Or if you're already making them, you know how to fix it. So I'm going to share my screen, show you what I'm seeing, show you what I see, and then literally you can fix it. So the whole premise of this, it's not to make you famous, it's to make you money. Now, there's a stat, and you can't beat this stat. You can't game this stat. It is the general rule of sales. And it's getting worse because of our attention spans getting worse. It is this: on average, somebody will need to see what you offer 11 or more times before they buy, on average. So that means cold outreach fails so much because it's just not, the trust isn't built. The relevance is off. But if you're going to operate and grow a business or grow a pipeline on LinkedIn, your profile has to help the sales process. It has to make it easier for people to buy. If it's not doing that, what happens is this. Let's say you're posting content, and let's say a prospect really resonates with something you say today. The first thing they do is they go and look at your profile and go, who is this person? And they will go and look at your profile and try and figure out what you're about. If you make that hard for people, you lose opportunity. I was talking to I talk to a lot of people every day, but I talked to 4 people today who all made the same mistake. It is a common thing. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to walk you through my logic. Now, you might not like my profile because my profile is a little loud, a little wild, and you might not like it. Don't confuse style with what I'm trying to achieve. So you might be a bit more corporate. You might have a more senior buyer. You might be an executive coach to CEOs of big companies. You're going to tonally make it different, but the principle isn't going to be any different. So let me just walk you through this. So first things first, when somebody lands on your profile, do they in 4 seconds get what you do? Can they in 4 seconds figure out, this is what Dean does. This is what such and such does. If they cannot, let me fix this flipping thing here. Let me make this bigger. There we go. Can they figure out in seconds whether you're good at what you do or you're not? Right? Oh, what's going on, LinkedIn? This is really annoying. It's made that one bigger. So let me just fix this. Sorry. Why is it doing this? For flipping live screens. Right. So let me just minimize myself for a minute and I'll just do it. Right. So when somebody comes to your profile, this kind of window up here, this envelope, this first box is all they're going to look at. That's it. Right. They're not going to, and I can promise you now, they are not going to play Inspector Clouseau to try and figure it out. So they are not going to go read this, read this, read this, read this to figure out what you do. You have to make it really obvious. And you might think right now, Dean, I've got it obvious. It's already obvious. No, it's not. You either have to lead with a problem you solve or an outcome you deliver. You must never, ever say, this is what I do. So if you're a consultant, right, you don't say, I'm a consultant, right? That's not going to work. If you're an executive coach, you don't say, I'm an executive coach, because that means nothing. It's a job title, right? They need to know what outcomes you help them. I know coaching, we don't deliver outcomes, but you do in reality. You do. You help a client go from one position to another position. They might do it themselves with your guidance and support, but actually they end up going from one place to another place. So in this first envelope, this top of the profile, you have to take responsibility for going, I have got to give my target audience clarity in 4 seconds or less. 4 seconds. So lead with the problem or lead with the outcome. It's quite hard to do the negative. But if you want to do both, you can put in a problem and an outcome together and always try and balance. Don't go all negative because you'll be depressing people. So that's the first thing. Yeah. If it's not obvious on your profile what problem you solve, and I'm going to go one step further here and you're not going to like it. You have to go and speak to the problems your target audience sees, not these theoretical problems that you've bunched together, right? So a typical one I see, I help leaders get unstuck. From what? How? Right? Digital transformation. This is a good one, right? Digital transformation is a catch-all phrase for a whole load of shit. Loads of stuff, right? So if you go, hey, are you looking to do some digital transformation? You would never say that to somebody, right? Because what do you mean? What you on about? In LinkedIn world, you do not have the luxury of going, so what do you mean? Right? You have to say what you mean immediately. Now, we could go into, well, I talk to lots of people all the time. Maybe message me, we'll have a conversation about that, because that's very tricky to do and do well. It's very tricky to make it buying easy and try and appeal to lots of buyers, lots of different buyers. So this first envelope has got to do all of the heavy lifting. If you get the heavy lifting done there, in other words, it's clear, I can figure out what Dean does here. Just noticed a typo in my headline, right? I need to figure out what I'm doing here, and I need to figure out what I'm doing here. These have to stand alone. The header, let me just fix that. I just noticed I put a capital in the wrong place. Duh. I think I'm dyslexic, to be honest with you. Right? If I can't, if this headline basically needs the banner to explain it, or the banner needs the headline to explain it, you've done it wrong. If somebody has to piece together lots of information to figure out what you do, right, you're screwed, right? You're just screwed. You cannot make it easy for you to sell when the buyer has a short attention span and is ruthless with their time. You cannot kind of afford to play silly, vague games, or what I call nothing phrases or nothing words. I help people get unstuck, transforming lives through digital. That might be a nice, fluffy Apple statement, but it means nothing to your prospects. So if you want their interest, lead with what matters to them. And it's usually a problem or an outcome. And it has to be a problem or outcome that they can say, I want that. If they can't say, I want that, if it doesn't conjure up what their world would look like, it's not good enough. And I know some of you will go, well, it's more complex and more nuanced than that. You're trying to operate on LinkedIn. It's a short attention span place now. You've got to get over this and go, if I want to go to market in a short attention span place, I cannot afford to keep people guessing or leave what I do open to interpretation. Now, I may cover that in a minute. Next one, about. You want to put the story there. Don't put your job title or your role in there. You want to basically tell the story. I'm rewriting mine at the moment because I had a whole profile shift over Christmas, but I'll be rewriting mine. And it will be about, here's the problem you face. Here's the struggles. This is what it looks like. This is how I can help. And I'll tell the story and I'll put some example results and stuff in there. So that's going to be brand new for me. Then you got the services section, right? Now, I don't use this like it was designed because most people are not, selling like they're on Fiverr or trying to do gigs, where people can request work from them. Most people, that's not relevant. What I do is use it as a billboard. So I use it as a billboard so that people can see what I do. And again, I'm going to revamp this over this next week as well, because this is the old one. So it's just proving as a billboard to go, executive coaching, corporate consulting. Okay, so think about this as the context area. If this is the promise or the problem, here is like, so this is how you do it. Not specific, but one-to-one coaching, group coaching, corporate workshops or keynote speaking. You divide it up so people can see, it's this way, or this way. Context, people get it. Most people don't do this. And so they wonder why nobody's engaging with them. They wonder why they get sales calls that don't go anywhere. And it's because they haven't allowed their buyers to be educated. What they've done is, in effect, kind of created a profile directory listing rather than think about it as a website page. And I've got customers coming to it. What's the one thing that they're interested in? Solving my problem, getting me to a different reality or different result. That's all they care about. Everything after that, if you hook them on those two things, then they consume. If you lead with, I do this, you've lost them. So this is where you do the I do, executive one-to-one coaching, keynote speaking, corporate consulting, whatever it is, cybersecurity, pen testing, perimeter testing, whatever it is, spell it out so they know how you do it. Now this bit here, the featured section, oh my God, I get why people do this, but it doesn't make any sense. And it is this. They have a popular post, or they have a post that's they want people to see, so they pin it here. And it looks horrible. It looks ugly. This space is clickable space. So you want to drive people to the things that actually benefit you. Now, I'll just give you an example. If I messaged you today and sent you this link to my program, my accelerator program, you'd probably ignore me. But if you visit my profile, even if it was my post that got you there, or I sent you a connection request and you were curious, if you visit my profile, so in other words, you come to me and you see this big promise up here, as we call it, the problem statement or the outcome statement, and you get down here, you will click this and probably read up about what my accelerator does and what it is. You will read it. And so this space here is, you're going to make a whole load of traction on LinkedIn. If you hang around me, you're going to get a whole load of traction, not from viral fame, from actual people who will buy from you. If you hang around me and listen to what I say, that's what's going to happen. So you're not going to go famous. You're not going to be famous, but you are going to get clients. Even if you just consume my newsletter, you're going to get clients because I give so much stuff to help you succeed. So you create all of this noise, not noise, interest, curiosity, and then your profile is now distilled into signal. It's speaking to the right people. It's speaking to the things that they matter to them. And they go, so, okay, how does Dean do this thing? I want to know how he does that. So they're curious about the outcome. They're curious about the problem. Click. And now they're reading up about my approach to social selling, my approach to getting clients on LinkedIn, right? Now, this is quite heavy detail, and I'm not expecting them to remember all of this or know all of this, but now they're actually learning about literally what I sell. Now, do I get leads from the first time somebody looks? No, but I've seen a pattern because I do it. I use another LinkedIn feature I'll show you another time, where I can see who clicks on each of these. So every time somebody click, let me show you because you'll like this. Right, so this is brand new profile. I put this up yesterday, and you can see here, I created it on Saturday and put it up on Saturday, right? And I can go into the analytics and I can see who's looked at my offer. So I know who's looking at it. So the more I talk about the social selling accelerator over here, I post about it, I put an offer out. It's not 11 times looking at that link. It's just 11 times they need to hear about it, see it before they go, maybe this is for me. That's the approach you want to have to your profile. So here I've got my accelerator. Here I've got my podcast, which is a big priority for me this year. Did really well last year. We got 100,000 downloads. Not massive, but 100,000 downloads. Newsletter I'm building on Substack. And then I've got a few testimonials. I'm going to put some case studies in here as well. But if somebody wants to buy from me, this is the space. This is the stuff I want them to see. It's the assets that's going to help me make money. And so when I look at people's profiles, and I will keep this short and sweet, when I look at people's profiles, I see fundamentally for many people, confusion. I see two bits of confusion. I go and look at somebody's profile and going, can I work out quickly who this profile is for? And the majority of times I can't. It's not clear because we lead with clever over clear, transforming lives, strategic transformation of business outcomes. What the hell does that mean? Right? So people have to get it and get the relevance to them fast. Clear is better than clever. And so the clearer you are, the more effective you are. Because we're in a short attention span zone. If you were in a one-to-one conversation, you'd be more nuanced because, you've got more time and interaction. But in a space where it's a one-way conversation, somebody looking at your profile, you have to be clear over clever. So there's confusion number one of being clear for your audience. That's the big one. But the reason why most people, and I do mean most people, I could scroll through the feed at random and I could show you and you would see it. I don't want to do that because I don't know whether I'd get in trouble with sharing somebody else's profile. Maybe I'll do live profile roasts. People can put their URLs in and we'll do that. If anybody's watching on LinkedIn and you want to put your profile URL in the chat, I will have a look at yours live. If not, I'll just explain it. So I'll explain it. And then if somebody wants to put their profile in, I'll do a live roast now, a nice roast. I won't throw you under a bus or anything, but put your profile URL in the chat and I will do your profile. If there's no time before I wrap up, I'll just do that another time. So the clarity issue is you're not giving people the clarity quickly so that they can see the value of you to them, the value of hanging around you, the value of the difference you can make in their world, whether that's a corporate enterprise SaaS solution, whether that's coaching, whether that's, cybersecurity, whether that's financial services. They've got to be able to see the value quickly. these clever brand messages get lost on LinkedIn pretty quickly. Unless you're like MasterCard, where everybody already knows what you do kind of thing. If you're a big brand, people kind of instinctively know what you do, so you don't need to tell people. Or you can say, we change lives, or powering the financial world. MasterCard could say something like that because everybody knows what they do. But if you're not MasterCard, you have to be clear. So confusion, you give confusion to your market. So you could have the perfect people, like literally, we could so help that company or that person, and they could look at your profile and go, not for me, don't see the relevance, move on by. Because you are not stepping up to give them absolute clarity. Now, let me explain why 90% of people that I see, probably 99% of people I see, can't do that. And I'll tell you, it's because you haven't decided who you're going after. And you're going, Dean, I pretty much know who my ICP is. Okay. Name the biggest problem you solve right now. Name the biggest problem. One. The biggest problem you solve. And if you can't answer that, you've actually got multiple personas in your head. You've not settled on one persona. I could do LinkedIn, right? And I could do Instagram. I could do both. I could do LinkedIn and YouTube, or LinkedIn and podcasts. I could do them both. Or I could have two target audiences. I could have lawyers and I could have cybersecurity consultants. How do I make my profile, my message, like my whole message, my content, my profile, how it's written? How can I make my profile relevant to a lawyer and a cybersecurity business owner? Helping business owners master LinkedIn. What does the lawyer think? Lawyer thinks, do you know what? Maybe I should go to a specialist who's got expertise in doing LinkedIn for legal, because, business owners, they're not as regulated as we are. We're regulated. We can't do some of the things that another business can do. Yeah. And then cybersecurity business owner goes, well, our solution's more complex. Our buyer's more sophisticated. So we're a bit more specialist than business owners. So you're just, for general business owners, but we're different. We're specialist. So in my attempt in my head to go, right, I'm talking to a couple of different personas, that comes out into my message, and I try to go middle of the road. How can I appeal to both people? And inadvertently, I look like a generalist to both. Whereas if I did my LinkedIn profile, I said, I'm going to help LinkedIn lawyers on LinkedIn, and I could go zero in on lawyers, guess what? I would absolutely nail it and build a brand and build a reputation as the go-to person for getting leads or clients on LinkedIn for law firms. Think about my content strategy and how that would change. When I start to say, lawyers lower their reputation when they send sleazy DMs. Here's how lawyers actually get clients. And I give high-level stuff. Or I did an article, a newsletter on LinkedIn, business development for law firms. Yeah, marketing law firms on LinkedIn newsletter. I did a LinkedIn event, how to get clients as a lawyer on LinkedIn. You see the difference? Now, some of you will go, I get that, Dean, but I have multiple personas. How do you do it with multiple hats? You do it similar to mine. I lead with a promise. Yeah, I lead with a promise. But even now, if you look at my profile, even though I train salespeople, my profile does put off some salespeople because I say no pitch slapping, right? Which most business owners, most people don't want to do. So I do lose some opportunities with salespeople because pitch slapping, they go, yeah, but I've got a sales target. I've got to do volume. I've got to get out there because I've got to hit my quota. And so that message misses the mark a little bit. Now, thankfully, I've got the benefit of a team. And so some of the other team members of the team, Curtis and Dave, their profiles are actually optimized differently for different markets. But if you're one person, it's almost impossible to try and appeal to multiple personas and resonate. The only overlaps you can do are things like, the only overlaps you can do well is things like where people could self-identify, like lawyers and accountants. They're very, very similar. So you have to look at, is the problem or the outcome almost identical? And if it is, you can do it. If the problem is not identical, and this is a really important point, it might be identical to you, but is it identical to them? Win clients on LinkedIn is everybody who wants clients, but that's a generic statement. Without pitch slapping or algorithm chasing means I'm trying to help people who basically are using LinkedIn, not because they want to spend all their lives on LinkedIn, but because it's one of the options they've got. It's ads, it's email, it's Facebook, it's LinkedIn, but they're not really wanting to be marketers or wanting to be full-time salespeople on LinkedIn. So I'm creating some nuance, but even my nuance is a bridge that's difficult. But I've got some wider team that I can rely on. If you're on your own, you cannot afford to try and have split personality syndrome on LinkedIn. Oh, yeah, I'm talking to salespeople. No, I'm talking to HR. No, because you will not resonate. Why does that matter? Well, the algorithm, and this is very important, I shared this a couple of weeks ago. The algorithm now looks at your profile to determine how much expertise you have in what you post. And so if what you're posting is not aligned with your profile, LinkedIn will not distribute your content as far. So let's say, for an example, I've got a generic profile and the algorithm can't figure out who I'm for because your prospects can't figure out who you're for. Your content will take a hit. Your content will take a hit. Your content will not reach the right people. And this is a relatively new thing that the algorithm's done, but you could have 50,000, 30,000 connections and they could all be the ICP, but if you're talking in generic language, you'll get nothing and the algorithm will hide you. So Monigo has volunteered her profile. So let me just grab that. So Monigo, let's go. Here it is. Here she is even. Okay, so here's Monigo. Monigo, hopefully I pronounced that right. I'm terribly British, so I'm very bad with different names. But okay. So support your staff through menopause without awkwardness, helping care leaders build confidence, culture, and compliance. So I think this is reasonably solid. There's a couple of things that I'll just tweak here, Monigo, for a moment. Number one, what I'd suggest you do is go and look at your profile from a mobile phone. And the reason I say that, Monigo, is you want to make sure it sticks out. So support your staff through menopause without awkwardness. That's probably a really good, solid promise. But it gets lost because there's no what we call visual hierarchy. This is me going into graphic design territory. I'd also think about, and this is me being very, cynical, right? Cynical about companies. Your promise statement, and I know this sounds horrible, but it's not horrible for you, Monigo, but it's horrible about businesses. And I'm going to say it and go, hopefully this is not true, but also what you have to think of, your promise statement. You've got two promise statements there: helping care leaders build confidence, culture, and compliance. I'm assuming that's related to the statement above. So the only thing I would say here is, and this is very cynical, your promise leads with an assumption that the company or organization wants to support their staff just because it's the right thing to do. And I know that sounds horrible, but what's the business case for them supporting that staff as well? And I know that sounds really heartless, but at the end of the day, when somebody's going to make a decision, there's things we should do and there's things we must do. So I'd be looking at what's the business benefit to doing this, not just what you should do. It's almost like support your staff. It is you're telling people what they should be doing. What is the business case for what they're doing? And I just tweak it a little bit so that whatever that big statement is, and I think it does need a little tweak, it's just bigger and works better on mobile. It's hard to do the mobile piece. A menopause trainer helping care managers and HR leaders to be compliant so retention improves, stigma reduces, aligns with skills for care. So you see that, right? The big bit, these two sections operate independent of each other. When actually they depend on each other right now. They need to stand on their own 2 feet. That somebody reads this, gets it easily, gets the business case. Somebody reads this, gets it. Because this obviously is on every comment, post, connection request. This is only on your profile. So that's all good there. Services section. Yeah, you've got premium. So you can actually add the pictures in here that I've got. So you could create little graphics, put a little write-up in and say, I do it this way, this way, this way. So that's more about how you do it. Coach it, one-to-one, workshops, keynote speaking, whatever you want to put there. So that people get it. Monigo could do actually a one-to-one with some of our leadership team. Monigo could train our HR staff or come and do a workshop. You see, you're giving people ideas of, oh, yeah, that's an issue. Oh, this is how you do it. And then this featured section, I'm going to give you a couple of things, right? So you've got mental health first aid training, yeah, but you're leading with menopause. I know it mentions it there. I'm going to make some big changes here. Number one, it's good you've got social proof in here. So well done, you've got something in here. This is great. You've got your Calendly link, but there's no context to your Calendly link. And by that, I mean, they still don't know how you work and you're asking them to book a call. Today's day and age, people don't want to book a call without knowing why they're coming to the call. So there's a big promise. Then there's the services which says, oh, you do it this way, this way, this way. I can book a call to actually know a bit more about how you do the one-to-one. So that's the first thing I would do. Then Monigo, what I would do is change here on this bit here, right? You've got your Calendly link in, but you'll notice when you click, you actually end up showing the image and they have to click twice. Instead, what you want to do, and I'll show you on my profile, let me just open another LinkedIn bit so you can see it. So when you come down to this bit, you'll notice I've got no write-ups, and I've got no write-ups on purpose because when you put a write-up like a description, I'll just show you. Hopefully I don't break my profile. I have to fix it now. You can put in here like your title, and I'll put, I'll be a bit cheesy and put an icon in. Yeah. But because I've got no description, when you click them, you go straight through. Yeah, straight through. So no description means you go straight through. So you're not creating a friction point, a double click. But then also what I've done is I've uploaded a custom thumbnail in Canva. I made it in Canva. It's really simple. It does what it says on the tin, so people know what it is. They can go and read about it. So I'm using the image to draw people in. Whereas what you're doing is using the copy to tell people, but your biggest visual asset is actually the image. So the image has to do all the heavy lifting. That's just to tell people what it is, and that needs to disappear. So I would have your Calendly link in here, but I'd also have, there's nothing wrong with the featured stuff in, the recommendations, but you've got a free ebook, right? Why don't you change that image so you say free download, how to support staff with mental health and menopause challenges. Yeah. And I would lead with the menopause because that's what you're leading with at the top. So I'd stay connected to the top. I would change that graphic, and I'd also put in here something like how you could work with me. I know you've got multiple ways and you might want to keep it a bit more open. How you can work with me, or how I help you overcome the menopause challenges in your organization. And it leads to the 3 ways you help: the corporate workshops, the keynote speaking, and the consulting, whatever that is. And you kind of give people a bit of an overview of what that looks like. You don't have to, if you don't want to, go as far as these are my prices or anything like that. But you're at least giving people context of how they can engage with you. So that 1, they're aware, and 2, if they book a call, they're informed about the booking a call. The last thing they want to do is go on a call with you and go, I'm not really sure why you do, because they'll feel like they potentially could be wasting your time. Now you might go, well, no. They're not going to waste my time because I'm sure I can find something to help them. We can do bespoke and all that kind of stuff. But in you trying to be open, you leave people thinking, I'm not sure if this lady does what we need or can do what we need. So that's my thoughts, Monigo. I don't know whether that's useful or helpful. And hopefully I haven't mispronounced your name. So apologies if I have. I'm terrible English. But that's why the profile really matters, because in Monigo's posts, you're sharing stuff, you're putting stuff out. You really want to kind of, those people who are paying attention to what you're sharing, those people who are connecting with you, those people who maybe you're having conversations with, they are going to keep looking back at your profile. So you're making all of this, you're getting all this interest that might be just going, oh, she looks interesting, she looks relevant, maybe you should think about her later, but don't really remember, and it's gone. So that's what I'd be thinking about, and hopefully, Monigo, that was helpful. You can block me later if I got it wrong, or whatever. But hopefully that was helpful, and maybe I'll try and do a few more of these. But I love your post, by the way. And just on that note, by the way, there is a trend happening on social media at the moment where I talked about this in my newsletter the other day. It's a bit of an off topic, not for your profile, but for your content. The more posts that look like they're not slick, in other words, it's something you did, because we've got a lot of AI content now, that AI can make everything look perfect and amazing. Having that, not flawed, but little flaws in it, will really help. So actually taking pictures of yourself is an advantage now when you've got AI generating these flawless pictures of people in amazing surroundings. It can actually be a good hook. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up because it's late here in the UK, and I said I'd only be on for half an hour to my good lady wife, and I've been on for 39 minutes. But mistakes on the profile, if you don't make it obvious, you lose opportunity. If people can't understand and learn about what you offer in clear terms, you increase the friction between you and getting a lead. The more they see what you do, not just in content here, the more they see what you do and how you do it, the easier it will be for them to buy. And the profile starts with the profile. You cannot assume that people remember your posts You cannot assume that because you last week talked about your offer, people will remember it. It has to be permanently on your profile, and you create curiosity through Monego. Perfect. I'll get it right. You cannot assume that people will join the dots. You have to join the dots for them. So you have to assume everybody's coming to your profile does not know you from, your brand spanking new. Everybody who looks at your post is seeing it for the first time. So don't assume that they've seen 3 posts, 4 posts. Everything has to assume they've never seen anything. They don't know anything about you. And it changes the way you do your content, the way you do your profile. Everything has to be episodic, about like TV, episodic. It stands alone and it does its job alone. Being generalized here, you should not think about it as it's one long journey and you don't assume people know anything about you. It's the best way to give clarity. Anyway, I'm going to go. Have a great rest of your evening in the UK, in the US. It's the rest of your evening, I think. It's 10:30 here, so nearly 10:30 here. So it's 5:30. So have a great evening in the US. And